Gather round, children of the sun and moon, and silence your restless hearts. For tonight I weave the ancient yarns of Anansi the spider, a trickster whose silver tongue outwitted both beast and god, whose webs held not just prey, but the very secrets of the world. Sit close, for if you lean in too near, you may hear the faint scuttle of 8 legs upon the earth, or the soft murmur of silk spun in midnight's hush. In the days before time was measured, when the world was young and chaos still danced between the trees, there lived Anansi, small of body but vast of ambition. They called him Kwaku Anansi among the Ashanti, Anansi among the Fanti. But by any name, he was the master weaver of schemes. He dwelt in the lofty boughs of the great silk cotton tree, its roots drinking deep of the river's wisdom, its crown daring to tickle the belly of the sky. From his high nest, Anansi watched the creatures of earth and water, longing for more than the humble meal of grubs and dew. If only, he would whisper, I could taste the sweet fruits of the gods, or hold in my web the fire of the sun. So he spun silver threads of thought, plotting to swap his low estate for a share of the world's magic. One dawn, as the rooster's crow still trembled in the twilight, Niame, the sky god, grew weary of Anansi's endless boasting. If you are so clever, he boomed, eyes like storm clouds, prove it! Fetch me the tiger's fierce claws, the crocodile's sharp teeth, the hornet's burning nest, the python's deadly skin, the fairy Moatia's golden laugh, the leopard's spotted pelt, and the star-glass that holds the night itself. Anansi's 8 legs quivered, not from fear, but from exhilaration. To capture a star, to cage a Moatia's laughter. With a nod of agreement, he slid down the tree trunk like a ribbon of moonlight, determined to bind each treasure in his silken web. First, he sought the tiger, prowling the emerald plains. There, under the watchful gaze of her cubs, Anansi feigned weakness, calling to her with a plaintive cry. When her massive paws loomed above him, ready to rend his flesh, he cried, "O Panther Queen, your claws could carve out the sun. Let me feel their glory." Flattered by his words, she unsheathed them, and Anansi bound each curved fang in thread of spider's silk. Next, to the river's depths, where the crocodile lay in ambush, Anansi swam with humble whimpers, asking for water's wisdom. "Let me hold your teeth, guardian of the currents," he pleaded. The crocodile, proud of his crushing bite, offered them freely, and Anansi spun them into place beside the tiger's claws. With half his task complete, Anansi grew bold, even careless. To seize the hornet's nest, he disguised himself as drummer monkey, beating rhythms that lured the swarm into dance. When they swarmed around him in furious harmony, Anansi unveiled his secret. Reeds dipped in honey, sticky as a lover's promise. The enraged hornets, trapped in sweetness, fell into his basket, nest and stingers intact. But the python was no less wise. Coiled beneath a carpet of leaves, it recognized Anansi's scent on the wind. With voice as smooth as oil, the spider offered to exchange stories for a taste of python's shed skin. Flattered, the serpent slithered into conversation, and as it sighed with each tale, it left behind its sleek, silvery husk. Anansi scooped it up, adding coils to his growing hoard. Halfway through his quest, Anansi felt the weight of his cargo. Yet he pressed on, for the prize of the Moatia's golden laugh was his heart's delight. These tiny forest spirits laughed in breathless bursts that echoed through the leaves. So rare a sound it could cure despair. To entrap it, Anansi wove a tiny cage of golden reed and whispered the funniest jokes he knew. When the Moatia laughed until its laughter rang like bells, he sprang his trap, capturing the pure, tinkling guffaw in his jar. The leopard's pelt proved fiercer still. Anansi commissioned Grandfather Ogi, the tailor spider, to stitch a decoy cloak of ink-black moss. Wrapped in his false pelt, Anansi strode into the leopard's den and challenged the great cat to a contest of stealth. The leopard, fooled by the perfect mimicry, stalked its reflection in the waters, and while it languished in self-admiration, Anansi snatched the true pelt from its slumbering form. 7 tasks down, and still Anansi hungered for the final prize, the star glass. Only Niame kept that mirror of the heavens, hung upon his palace walls where mortals dared not tread. Here Anansi devised his greatest ploy. He approached the sky god once more, bowed low, and spoke of a wondrous vision. "O radiant one, I dreamed of a glass so fair it held the birth of every star. Show me its reflection, that I may paint the canvas of the skies." Moved by pride, Niame agreed, but with a price. Anansi must serve him for 7 seasons, tracking the comets and collecting jelly from the clouds. Bound by his word, the spider toiled in the heavens, unseen by mortal eyes, until at last he stood before the star glass. As Niame breathed in the scent of dawn, Anansi tilted the mirror, just so, and caught its luminous surface under the cover of a passing storm. In a heartbeat, he snatched the glass and slipped it into his satchel, leaving the sky god to ponder the emptiness where his prized treasure once shone. Back in the great silk cotton tree, Anansi spun a triumphant web, embedding each trophy within its silken strands. The world watched in awe as tiger claws gleamed beside hornet stingers, and a shimmer of starlight flickered alongside the Emawatia's laugh. Even the gods marveled, and grudgingly admitted that, for all his trickery, Anansi was the cleverest of beings. Yet in the quiet after the celebration, Anansi felt a gentle tug at his heart. For in the telling of tales, in the weaving of webs, he realized that wisdom lies not in what we possess, but in the stories we share. So he lowered his glass and unbound the creatures he'd tricked, setting free tiger and crocodile, hornet and python. He released the Emawatia's laughter into the treetops, where it chimed through every dawn. And the star glass he returned to Niame, hidden beneath a dewdrop, so that every child who gazed skyward might glimpse a star's true face. And so, dear ones, when you feel the warm breeze rustle through the leaves, know it is Anansi's web, spun fine between earth and sky. When you fib to dodge a chore or spin a tale that makes your friend grin, you carry his cunning in your heart. But remember, too, his final lesson. Treasures shine brightest when shared, and the grandest webs are those woven from kindness, laughter, and the threads of wisdom. Now go forth and let your stories grow. For as long as there is breath in your lungs, the spirit of Anansi, the sly, the bold, the endlessly curious, will dance upon your tongue, daring you to trick the impossible, and, in the bargain, discover the truths that lie behind the greatest illusions.